My wife smirked. "I'll drain you in divorce court." I calmly said, "Check the prenup." That moment replays in my head like a bad movie scene. Her face twisted in that smug victory grin, thinking she'd won everything. But I just stood there, heart pounding, and dropped the bomb that shattered her world. I'm Marcus, 29M, and I guess you could call me emotional and analytical, which sounds like a contradiction, but trust me, it's not. I feel everything deeply, but I also overthink every single detail until my brain hurts. My daily routine was simple. Wake up at 6:15, make coffee in our Keurig, always French roast, always the same blue mug, check my phone for exactly 3 minutes while the coffee cooled, then dive into spreadsheets for my accounting firm. I thought I had it all figured out. Steady job, decent savings, a wife who seemed to love me, and a quiet suburban life in our little 2-bedroom house with the creaky floorboard by the bathroom door. God, I was so naive. It started small, you know? Like it always does. Sarah would get these text notifications at weird hours, 11 p.m., midnight, sometimes 2 a.m. When I'd glance over, she'd quickly flip her phone face down on the nightstand. "Work stuff," she'd mumble, but her advertising agency wasn't exactly running 24/7 crisis management. Then there were the girls' nights that started happening every Friday. Before, we'd spend Fridays on the couch, arguing over Netflix shows and sharing that terrible gas station wine she inexplicably loved. I remember the exact moment I knew something was wrong. It was a Tuesday. I know because Tuesdays I always grabbed groceries after work. I came home with the bags, keys jingling, calling out, "Hey babe, I got those crackers you like," and silence. Her car was in the driveway. I walked through our tiny living room, past the IKEA coffee table we'd assembled wrong 3 times, and I could hear her voice from the bedroom, not talking, giggling. This breathy, intimate giggling I hadn't heard in months. My stomach just dropped. You know that feeling? Like when an elevator starts too fast? I stood there in our hallway, still holding a bag of groceries like an idiot, listening to my wife flirt with someone who definitely wasn't me. The frozen peas were getting cold against my leg through the plastic bag. Such a stupid detail to remember, right? But that's how my brain works. It grabs onto these tiny, meaningless things when everything important is falling apart. When she finally came out, hair slightly messed up, she looked startled to see me. "Oh, you're home early." I wasn't. It was 6:20 p.m., same as always. "Who were you talking to?" I asked, and she got this defensive look. "My sister. She's having boyfriend drama." But Sarah's sister lives in Portland and we were in Ohio. The time difference made that conversation happening at 6 p.m. our time really weird. I started paying attention after that. Really paying attention. And once you start looking for cracks, you see them everywhere. The emotional chaos was killing me. I'd lie awake at 3 a.m., listening to her breathe next to me, wondering if she was dreaming about him. Some nights I'd get up and just sit in our kitchen, staring at the microwave clock and doing these weird mental calculations. How long had this been going on? Was I imagining things? Was I going crazy? The analytical part of my brain kept trying to organize the evidence while the emotional part just wanted to scream. I started taking screenshots of her phone screen whenever she left it unlocked. Felt dirty doing it, but I needed to know. Credit card statements showed charges at restaurants I'd never been to, always for 2 people. Her location history, yeah, I checked, don't judge me, showed her at hotels during her lunch breaks. The worst part? I recognized the guy's name from her contact list. Brad, from her CrossFit gym. Of course it was the CrossFit guy. The confrontation wasn't planned. I mean, I'd rehearsed it in my head 1,000 times during my commute. But when it actually happened, I was completely unprepared. It was a Saturday morning. I was making my coffee, going through the same routine, when she waltzed into the kitchen wearing this designer workout outfit I'd never seen before. "New gear?" I asked, trying to sound casual. She shrugged. Brad recommended the brand. Brad. She just said his name. Like it meant nothing. Funny, I said, my voice cracking slightly. You mentioned Brad a lot lately. And that's when her whole demeanor changed. The mask just slipped right off. She got this look, not embarrassed, not guilty, annoyed, like I was inconveniencing her by noticing. So what if I do? She said, crossing her arms. At least he pays attention to me. The fight that followed was brutal. All the evidence I'd been collecting came pouring out. The late-night texts, the mysterious charges, the location data, everything. She didn't even try to deny it. Instead, she doubled down, started listing everything wrong with me, how boring I was, how I never surprised her, how Brad made her feel alive in ways I never could. Then came the financial threats. She started calculating out loud how much she could get in alimony, how she'd take half of everything, including my retirement savings. I've been talking to a lawyer, she said with this satisfied smile. You're going to pay for this divorce, Marcus. I'll drain you for every penny you have. That's when something clicked. All those late-night mental calculations finally paid off. I remembered our prenup. See, when we got engaged 3 years ago, Sarah actually suggested the prenup herself, said it was modern and practical. I remember being slightly hurt, like, shouldn't we trust each other? But she insisted it would protect both of us. Her dad was a lawyer, so they drafted it together. I barely read the thing, honestly. Just signed whatever they put in front of me because I was so in love and wanted to make her happy. Turns out, past me accidentally made the smartest decision of my life. You might want to check the prenup first, I said, my voice steadier than it had any right to be. And watching her face change, it was like watching someone realize they'd been playing poker with their cards face up. She went pale. Actually pale. What do you mean? The infidelity clause, Sarah. Section 7. Your dad wrote it in himself. I could practically see her mind racing, trying to remember details from 3 years ago. The prenup stated that in case of divorce due to proven adultery, the cheating spouse forfeited all claims to shared assets and spousal support. Everything would remain with the non-cheating party. She tried to backtrack immediately, started crying, saying it was all a mistake, that she'd end things with Brad, that we could work it out. But I was done, completely done. The emotional side of me was screaming and crying inside, but the analytical side had already started making lists, lawyer recommendations I'd Googled during my lunch breaks, bank accounts that needed protecting, evidence that needed organizing. I moved out that weekend, stayed at my brother's place, sleeping on his couch and listening to his newborn cry all night, but it felt more peaceful than home had in months. Update 1, 2 weeks later. Sarah's been calling nonstop, had to block her number after she left 17 voicemails in one day. But here's where it gets interesting. My lawyer called yesterday. Apparently, Sarah's lawyer tried to challenge the prenup, claiming it was signed under duress or some bullshit like that. Problem is, we have video from the signing. Her dad insisted on recording it for their records. In the video, you can clearly see Sarah explaining the terms to me, walking through each section like she's the one who wanted it. Her lawyer dropped her case after seeing that footage. Also found out more about Brad. Turns out he's married too, with twins. His wife contacted me through Facebook after Sarah apparently called her, trying to get her to convince Brad to leave his family. Yeah, that backfired spectacularly. We compared notes. This wasn't Sarah's first affair, just the first one I'd caught. The worst part? Going through our photos on my laptop last night, deleting memories. I found this folder of screenshots Sarah had taken. Screenshots of text conversations between us from early in our relationship. All the sweet things I'd said, the vulnerable moments, the times I'd opened up about my anxiety and self-doubt. She'd saved them all. I don't know why, but seeing that hurt more than finding out about Brad. Update 2, 1 month later. Court date is set for next month, but honestly, I don't think it'll even get that far. Sarah's gotten desperate. Like, really desperate. She showed up at my work last Tuesday, crying in the lobby until security had to escort her out. Apparently, she tried to convince my boss that I was having a mental breakdown and needed intervention. My boss just forwarded me the email chain. She used phrases like concerning behavior and possible substance abuse. Complete lies, but she was grasping for anything. Her dad called me last week. The same lawyer who wrote our prenup wanted to discuss options for his daughter. I almost felt bad for him. You could hear in his voice that he knew what kind of corner they'd painted themselves into. He offered to cover my legal fees if I agreed to a more generous settlement. I declined. If I'd wanted to be generous, maybe don't cheat on me for 6 months and then threaten to financially ruin me. Brad's wife filed for divorce too. Sarah apparently called her a jealous bitch when she served papers. Real class act. The strangest thing, though, I've been okay. Better than okay, actually. I thought I'd be falling apart, but instead, I feel like I'm waking up from some weird dream. Started going to therapy, not because I'm broken, but because I want to understand how I ignored so many red flags. Dr. Chen, my therapist, says I have something called analysis paralysis, where I overthink myself out of trusting my own instincts. Makes sense. I had this gut feeling about Sarah months ago, but kept talking myself out of it. Final update, 3 months later. It's over. Officially divorced as of last Friday. Sarah signed everything without going to court. Her new lawyer probably explained reality to her. She gets nothing. Well, she gets her personal stuff and her car, but that's it. The house, savings, retirement accounts, everything else stays with me. The infidelity clause held up perfectly. Turns out having 3 years of legal precedent and video evidence of willing participation makes challenges pretty much impossible. Sarah moved in with Brad, but that lasted exactly 2 weeks before his wife's divorce lawyer started sniffing around Sarah's assets for the settlement. Apparently, Brad's soon-to-be ex-wife is significantly less forgiving than I was. Last I heard, Sarah's working at some retail job and living in a studio apartment across town. I'm not celebrating her downfall or anything. I'm not that petty. But there's definitely something satisfying about watching someone face consequences for their choices after they spent months assuming there wouldn't be any. The house feels different now. Bigger, somehow. I rearranged all the furniture, got rid of the couch where she used to text Brad, bought new sheets, new coffee mugs, that blue mug I used every morning, threw it away, felt weirdly ceremonial. I've been dating again. Nothing serious yet, but I'm not in a rush. Dr. Chen says I need to work on trusting my instincts instead of over-analyzing everything to death. Easier said than done, but I'm trying. The funny thing is, I keep thinking about that prenup. How Sarah suggested it, how confident she was that it would protect her, how she walked me through every section, like she was doing me this huge favor. She basically handed me the exact tool I needed to protect myself from her. The irony is almost poetic. Sometimes I wonder if some part of her knew, even then, that she'd eventually sabotage everything. Maybe the prenup was her subconscious trying to contain the damage she'd inevitably cause. Or maybe I'm overthinking it. Wouldn't be the first time. Either way, I learned something important. When someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. And always, always read the fine print, especially when your future wife's lawyer dad is the one writing it. Life's weird like that sometimes. The thing that was supposed to protect her ended up being exactly what protected me. I'm doing better now. Really better. Not just keeping busy better or fake it till you make it better, but actually, genuinely better. Turns out, living with someone who doesn't respect you is exhausting in ways you don't even realize until it stops. My coffee tastes better these days. Same French roast, different mug, but somehow it's better. Maybe that's growth. Or maybe I just finally found a mug that doesn't remind me of lies. The floorboard by the bathroom still creaks, though. Some things never change. But now when I hear it at 6:15 a.m., it's just me walking across it. No one else's secrets hiding in this house anymore. Just me, my coffee, and the quiet life I thought I had before. Except now, it's real.